The strategies and concepts discussed are for educational purposes only and do not represent specific investment, tax, or estate planning advice. Investing carries an inherent element of risk, and it is possible to lose principal and interest when investing in securities. No strategy can guarantee a profit or prevent a loss. The views expressed represent the personal opinions of the presenter or featured guests, not necessarily those of USA Financial or its affiliated subsidiaries. Any opinions or forecasting statements are subject to change at any time and without notice. John Cyndia is an investment advisor representative of, and advisory services are offered through USA Financial Securities Corporation, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor. Life Stages Advisory is not affiliated with USA Financial Securities. Life Stages Advisory, Dean or Remington, or any guest we have are not affiliated with USA Financial Securities. Welcome to episode number 70. Yes, that's 70 of Wealth, Taxes, and Finances. I'm John Cyndia, your host, certified public accountant and personal financial specialist. I have Remington and Dean in here today.
Yeah, hello.
Hey. Ow.
And Dean hurt himself on
I
the
hurt
microphone.
myself. Been here for 10 seconds.
Today we thought we'd have various topics on 401K's. We spoke about it in a couple previous episodes on some things, but some questions still keep cropping up. And what we're going to do, talk a little bit about some distributions, first of all. And how can you take a distribution? What are hardship distributions? How do they benefit? And should you take a loan or distribution, or what happens when you separate from service and all that stuff? So I guess the first thing is you have to be in a 401k in order to understand what's going on with all this. And spoke to Dean previously, and he started to add to the 401k at work and did up to at least a match, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, my work doesn't do a match.
They don't do a match? Yeah. Okay.
I just do 5%. So,
Remington, did you have a match on yours?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I just currently switched.
Oh.
So like our work, not to go on this for too long, but our work is technically two divisions.
Okay.
Different companies, same building. It's a weird setup. I just switched
So
to
they
the other side.
So they have different
whole
plans.
another setup and structure over there, and I am still getting caught up on all of that. The other place, I believe, matched though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what we talked about before was at least trying to put in the minimum to match if they have a match. If they don't, try and at least do 3 or 4%. And when we were talking about that, before the airing of this, Dean had a good point that he had some of his other employees that he manages try and get in on a 401k and just to do 2 or 3%. And how did you try and equate to it?
So, I mean,
this is for millennials now.
I mean, it can be for anybody.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people have spending problems, but more specifically is like, when you're talking about a small percentage, especially 2 or 3%, I mean, you're talking about a very minimal amount every paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So
even if it's $25 to $30 every couple of weeks.
Right. So, I mean, we're talking about like, a couple not stopping at the gas stations on the way to work,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe no coffee in the morning. Ooh,
yeah,
it's pretty scary. I don't like that.
Yeah, $5 to $6.
Just try the break room coffee every once in a while.
Yeah, it's only killed a few people.
You can get dollar coffee. You don't need $5 and $6 coffee.
Yeah, you don't need your Starbucks every day or whatever it is, which we've kind of beat into everyone's heads that's listening.
Now, what's the other thing? Monster drinks?
Oh yeah, your Monster drinks. Yeah, that's one of my employees. She's if you're listening, she drinks a lot of Monsters. And
okay.
I was like,
what are they? How much do they cost? I don't know.
Like $3 or $3.50 maybe.
Okay, and you have a White Death water or something?
That's Liquid Death.
That's Liquid Death.
Yeah,
okay.
Watch it.
That's something, I don't know.
Put some respect on that.
Yeah, and that's only $1.99, so don't worry about it.
So, but it is
and
important.
I'm investing in a 401k, so
yeah, so that's you could be investing that much more in it. See, I guess is what it looks like. But if you break it down into those types of things, like, all right, cut back on every other day, maybe stay off of this week and put that money into it, and then you can have your coffee the following week or whatever. But try to equate it into some type of spending that you're doing, and just sort of, offset that and say, okay, I'm not going to do this week. I'm going to do this. So put a few bucks in your pocket and then go spend some maybe the following week. But to try and not get into something whenever you do have a match that's giving you free money, so in the future you can buy more coffee or more energy drinks or whatever. See?
Right.
From
You
that
can make up
standpoint.
for the time that you didn't buy them.
Exactly. So in retirement, you can buy it every single day.
Maybe even 2 a day.
Exactly.
Which,
exactly.
well, that goes back to some of the health episodes we talked about. I don't know if that's a great idea, John.
Well, no.
Should you be drinking 2 or 3 monsters a day?
You shouldn't be drinking any, but that's just my opinion.
Phooey.
Yeah. So, yeah, that gives you some heart issues and some other things there too. But if you have to have it and you're young, you're invincible, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
So, at least get into the minimum of whatever your company does, and, try and look at your expenditures and stuff and try and see what you can do without that's really not impacting a lifestyle that you're going to get hurt by. The other thing is loans. Normally, what you can do is take up to 50% of your 401k balance in a loan. Usually has to be paid back within 60 months or 5 years, and they usually do an auto withdrawal right out of your paycheck, however you set that up, whether it's biweekly or monthly or weekly or whatever your payroll is. And if some, by some chance you don't pay that back and either get terminated or you leave, then the balance of that loan is actually going to be in the form of a distribution on a 1099-R. You'll end up paying taxes on that and possibly even a penalty if you're under 59 and a half. So you sort of have to watch, when you're, making loans. During COVID of 20, they allowed you to take up to $100,000 out, and without a 50% limitation on that. So I think everybody's back to the non-COVID situations with that now. So you're going to go back to some normal limits. And the other thing is when you take that distribution, you have to watch. I think you were talking, Dean, earlier about some people that wanting to take some money out. If you actually take the money out in a distribution and you're under 59 and a half, you're going to get a 10% penalty right off the bat. And then you're going to have to pay taxes on that too. Okay. And we're assuming these are not Roth type contributions. These are regular pre-tax, normal 401k.
So you're saying, just to understand, you pay that 10%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you pay tax. So that's just your normal, like an income level type tax. So
Right.
say I made 50,000 and then I
Right.
pulled 50,000 out of my 401k. I'm paying it
You're paying it 100,000.
that tax bracket.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Makes sense.
And the 10% would be on the gross amount you pulled out. So say if you
So I pulled 50 out. I owed
pulled
5.
50, you're going to owe $5,000 in a penalty.
Gosh.
Then you're going to have your tax. So if you're in a 25% bracket, you're going to have $12,500 on the 50 plus the 10. So you basically have about 50%,
that you actually get, that you bring home with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly something to think about, I think, for anyone listening.
And then because you've got the state taxes and you've got everything else. So
Right.
you can be upwards of 55%, depending on what state you're in, what income level you're at and everything.
How bad do you need that money?
Exactly. And a lot of the times people might be in a 12% bracket, and then all of a sudden they take that out and they jump 2 or 3 brackets and they're in a 24 to 28, maybe 31% bracket. And then they're wondering, it's like, well, no, I didn't take any withholding out. Well, then they possibly owe penalties. They may owe interest for money they should have taken out if it was early in the year, until you pay your taxes the following April. And if they took a distribution out in March, and the IRS is looking for all that extra taxes revenue from the income that you had, and they look at it as if you should have been earning that the whole time. So they wanted to have an equal amount of tax payments throughout the year. So you just have to be careful, from that standpoint. The other thing is if you do have to have a distribution, they have what they call hardship distributions. And what the hardship distributions do, you'll still pay tax on the amount that you took out. And remember, this is not a loan; it's an actual distribution. So it's coming out. You're not planning on putting that back through any payments or anything else. So say you had medical bills, for instance. Something happened that someone in the family, your immediate family, either you or your spouse or your children, had an immediate medical need, and it was like $25,000. If you had no other way to have that paid and the insurance didn't cover it, you could take that out. Now it has to be the way the IRS deems it, has to be an immediate and heavy financial burden, and it has to be the amount of that need. So if the medical bills are $25,000, you can't take out $50,000. Okay?
Well, why?
Why?
I need a new Nintendo Switch. The PS5s are coming in stock. Xbox One S's.
See, they put these rules in for people like you that want to take advantage of the system, man.
We really needed a new car,
Your fifth car.
Yeah, but don't worry about it. Yeah.
He brought the Batmobile in this morning. Yeah, that's the black Corvette. So anyway.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. I'll get over on him, John. Don't
you
worry.
I'm sure you will. You might be in an orange jumpsuit, but
IRS, if you're listening, turn off your headphones.
That's right. But so what you need to do, medical expenses can be one of the hardships. Believe it or not, tuition. So if you have a need for tuition, this can actually be up as a hardship. And these are what they call safe harbor hardships. In other words, they're pretty much if you meet the criteria, it's going to be approved as a hardship, and it will eliminate that 10% penalty. You'll still pay tax on it, remember, on the withdrawal. But tuition and educational fees are on there. The other thing also is if purchase of a residence. Normally it's the first residence, but they've been a little bit liberal on that and saying that, if it is for a principal residence, and the direct costs of that. So, what is that going to be? We'd have to look a little bit more into it, probably be a down payment. It would be any earnest money you'd have to put down. Anything else that you'd have as far as prepaid insurance and taxes, things like that. Any amount, say, now would be an interesting way to look at it, especially from COVID, because they put a mandatory halt on any evictions. So for the last, 6 to 12 months, people who couldn't make their payments also could not get evicted. Well, at some point in time here, when they lift that restriction, that back rent is going to be due. And if that is the case and you've got a 401K, that is also an immediate need that you could turn around and do. So if you owe $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 in back rent and you're afraid you're going to get evicted after this is lifted, and you still have a 401K, that's another way to look at it and claim it as a hardship. Any funeral expenses for the immediate family can also be deemed something, or any repairs from a damage to your personal residence. Could be a hurricane or tornado or anything like that wasn't covered by insurance. So if you have something and you don't have replacement cost on a house, and say you had a $100,000 house you bought, but the replacement cost is $200,000, and you just had basic coverage on that without replacement cost, and you had $120,000 of damage. Well, the insurance may cover the 100, and you got 20,000. So you can go and get a hardship for the other 20,000, to fix the house and bring it back to where it was. So those are some different things to look at from that aspect also, versus loans or hardship distributions or anything from that standpoint. The other thing is, once you do, if you switch jobs, we've had a lot of individuals that over this last year, if they still were working or they did switch a job, we've had both cases where they took the money out and got taxed on it and didn't realize that it was going to cost them so much money. So they took the money and then used it for some other bills that they had or they worried about, didn't take any withholding out. Now all of a sudden they've got $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 on top of what they had made. Then they had some unemployment. The unemployment benefits, then they did come in and eliminate the first $10,000 of unemployment benefits are not taxable. So that helped a little bit. But then if you put on these distributions, if they're under 59.5, which a lot of them were, they still have the 10% penalty on it again. So when you start looking at all these taxes, the penalties and everything, it sort of exacerbates the situation. And now they end up owing more money. Now where are they going to get that? The other thing is that if you do happen to switch jobs and you don't take that out, then you can either roll it over to an IRA, which we do a lot because we'd rather have the clients in charge of their own money and not be restricted to 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 different types of mutual funds or be restricted. So that way, if you open it up on your IRA, you can do mutual funds, you can do ETFs, you can do stocks, you have control of what you want to do. Some individuals want some precious metals and gold and silver. You can do that, where you're not usually going to get that in your 401k. So it's not as restrictive as a 401. So you can pretty much do, you've got a lot of leeway there, I guess, to say, of how you want that invested on your own. So once you do have that, you just roll it over to an IRA. Then it's a non-taxable event. You don't have to worry about anything. Or you could, if you wanted to, you could put it into the new 401k at the new company. There again, we usually don't do that because if you have an opportunity to invest those funds and control them yourself, we suggest doing that, from that standpoint.
Gotcha. I was always kind of curious about, like, when you do move to a new company, obviously there's a lot of different brokerages you can go through for 401ks.
Mm-hmm.
I always wondered, like, what it would be the most beneficial to do with that money. Is it smart to put it back into the 401k, or is it, what should you do with it?
Yeah, like I say, normally what we end up doing is having them set up an IRA and then just do a rollover from their 401k into the IRA and handle it themselves.
Gotcha.
Will help, invest it from that standpoint or whatever. And, look at it from that aspect, because they have a lot more, I guess, flexibility. And then, we've had some clients just in this last couple of weeks here that are coming in. They're getting ready to retire now. And they're looking and saying, okay, market's up at these all-time highs. I'm in the market. What else can I do? Once you're over 59.5, you don't have to terminate or leave the company in order to transfer that money out. We can actually move it prior to you leaving, as long as you're over 59.5. So we've got a client we met with this last week. The spouse is looking to retire in September, wanted to see if they could do it. And, we're able to more than, make up enough, for her to retire. And so what we're, looking to do is start transferring some of that money out, because she wants to sort of put a floor in on it, since we're up at all-time highs in the market. And she's afraid that, if she's in there and we do have a pullback, and that's usually the fear of people retiring, is what we try to deal with, is the fact that like within 4 months, we're at an all-time high here, and we've been talking about pullback, the majority of this year, and still looking for something to happen. Unfortunately, it would be one of those things that somebody would, be wanting to retire, and then all of a sudden keep everything in the market and lose 20% of it right before they retire.
It's a heavy weight. Like, you want the gains,
Exactly.
But you also don't want all those losses from it either.
Right.
So
what we try to do is encourage them to start moving. So if they want something secure, we can put a floor in on some of these things that are a little bit more fixed for what they're looking at, and maybe has some guarantees with it. So we start looking at all kinds of alternatives from that standpoint. And like I say, that's what we'll probably be doing, securing some of these gains on here. And we've done some with current clients that we, like I said before in previous episodes, don't be afraid to take money off the table and get ready for that pullback so that you can take advantage of that. It's not a timing situation because obviously, we've had some clients with large cash positions over the last 1 to 3 months, maybe 4 months. And we're sticking our toe back in with a few of these clients. We're finding nice pullbacks in some technology sectors, some other blue chip stocks and everything, and the ones that are paying some dividends that have pulled back, and now all of a sudden it's making their dividends a little bit more attractive, and which also gives them upside. So I think what we need to do is just keep aware of what it is that your, what is your plan? What are you looking to do? Derive income, gains? Are you looking to be risky or more conservative? And just, maintain that. Don't let the market pretty much dictate, what's going on. It's not going to go up forever. It's going to pull back at some point here. But there again, it doesn't hurt to take some profits every once in a while.
Right. And I think just going back on all of it, like full circle, another big thing that I think we've talked about, maybe not had an episode per se, is like diversification.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like for me, like I've explained, like I have some money here that's for play that I get in all like the fun stocks that are going up 100% in a single day. Then I have this money here that's, strict, simple growth, nothing crazy, nothing super aggressive. And then maybe I got some money over here into some cryptos. So kind of like all over the place in a way, but like I know my main investment strategy is, the simple growth, nothing super crazy.
Is that your 401k?
Yeah, just let it ride and let it compound interest and keep building money. And then, God forbid there's ever a day I have to, take that money out for a hardship or anything, but, just keep riding that money until I'm 59 and a half or, whenever it is, and then pull it out, either reinvest it or start living with it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think, once we start looking at it, and, Dean made a good point. It's, he's got some money in crypto. He's got some money in the quote meme stocks that people are going a little bit nuts over. And then your core. And, when you start looking at your core and depending on, what age you are, your core is going to be a lot different at 60, 65 than it is at, 25 or 30. And, you may have be more aggressive, have a core of 50% or so, at your age. And then clients my age and getting ready to retire probably have something more like the 75 to 85% core.
I was thinking they'd be more like 95% meme stock.
Yes.
It's time to get risky. We're going to die soon.
Yeah. I've got a couple.
Morbid,
I do have a couple like that, though,
You're like, screw it.
It's like, yep.
100,000 into the meme stock.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Will I lose it all or I double it?
Exactly. So Vegas, here I come, right? It sounds like it.
Right.
But,
here comes $0.
Exactly. But I think, when you're looking at it, we've had some clients also looking at some precious metals, gold, silver, copper, because of from the technology and the computer chips and different things like that. There's all kinds of reasons to be looking at some of these. And when you start looking at specifics like that, I had a client in here the other day that says, hey, I got $10,000. Should I buy gold? And it's like, well, I don't know. Have you had it before? Nope. Should I buy it in bullion or jewelry or what? And I'm like, if you don't have it now, you probably don't want it. And he's retired for the last 5 or 6 years. To put 10 grand into something, I didn't, if it was his play money. And I asked him, I said, can you afford to lose it? No. I said, then don't do it. It's just as simple as that. And I said, did you have you have a safety net? No. I said, guess what that is? That 10 grand is now your safety net. So don't look at the gold. Oh, I never thought about that.
Right into a high interest savings account.
Yeah. And all of 0.015% or whatever. But, I was curious because they wanted to put it into something and they still didn't even have a safety net, which was just bizarre. So I said, all right, that 10 grand, it's your safety net. Oh, okay. Never had one of those. I'm like, geez, okay. So, yeah, so it's, you just don't know where people are coming from and what they're thinking or whatever. But usually, rule of thumb, 3 to 5% in some precious metals or something. If you're looking at, from gold or silver, some of these copper plays, if you're younger, you might want to put up to, maybe 5 to 10% in them. I usually don't go over 5% with anybody in anything like that. But then you'll see these people that say, hey, you have to buy gold. You got all these ads out now, buy gold, buy gold, buy gold. Well, guess what? They're selling gold. That's what the ads are for.
Right.
They're just selling stuff. So is it a bad thing?
They want you
No.
to buy it, but they're selling it.
Yeah. Is it a bad thing? No, not to have some of it. But, don't look at it as a situation that be all end all. It's the same with these meme stocks and with crypto. I look at it, anybody that wants to get into crypto, don't put anything in it that you're not willing to lose. And the same thing with the meme stocks. If you got 10,000 saved, and you want to put 10 grand in it, look at kissing it goodbye. It could go up to 100,000 or a million or whatever, but chances are
turn your
better
10,000 into $100 real fast.
Yeah, probably not. And the same thing with the meme stocks and everything else. So I think it's everybody. It's that FOMO thing again. Nobody wants to be left behind. So
right.
Everybody wants to jump on when the at high tide, I guess.
Right.
But
no, I think this was useful. Like I said, I had a couple questions about how do you pull anything out of your 401k, and I think that's useful, knowing that there's like hardship options.
Yeah.
Where you can pull that money out. Obviously, no one really ever wants to be in a situation where you would need to pull that money out.
Sure.
Especially early. But it's good to know that pretty much you just pay general tax on it. Excuse me, I'm very sick. Very allergied. But yeah, I think that's pretty useful to know that you can pull that money out if the time prevails.
Yeah.
I should say.
Yeah. Anything else to
I've
add
been
to that?
doing research in the background.
You been
He's barely even here.
I've just been letting you guys talk. I've got next episode planned out, though.
Oh, okay,
so
okay,
we're good
good.
on that part. But
Okay, cool. All right. Well, then, again, we want to thank you. You can get in touch with me at jcindy@lifestagesadvisory.com is my email. Check us out on YouTube. And where else?
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, you already hit. If you're on any of those, just send them to all your friends. I'm sure they'd love to hear us.
Exactly. Vote for us.
Yeah,
Yay.
vote for what's that? Napoleon
Pedro?
Dynamite.
Pedro?
Vote for Pedro.
Vote for
Vote
Peter.
for John.
Yeah, vote for John. Not Pedro.
All right. Well, thanks again. Talk to you soon.